Hello, everyone. My name is Monet Cooper, and I'm so excited to talk to you about what is culture. So let's get right into it. So, culture can be put into so many definitions. It is a collaboration of knowledge and stories, language, traditions, rituals, values, food and drink, the arts, tools, objects, even techniques and skills. And it's very important that you know that culture accompanies all of these aspects when putting these into your classroom. So, just to briefly state it, culture is a set of shared beliefs, right? So, it's an integrated pattern of human knowledge, beliefs, and behavior. Culture is so important because it impacts perceptions and interactions. Webster's dictionary defines culture as the beliefs, customs, art, etc., of a particular society, group, place, or time. So there's so many different aspects of culture. There are subcultures and they intersect. So it's great to have opportunities in which your students can highlight and celebrate and get to know all different aspects of their culture in the classroom. So where does this become so important? Well, with classroom culture. So classroom culture is creating an environment where students feel safe and free to be involved. It's a space where everyone should feel accepted and included in everything. Students should be comfortable with sharing how they feel, and teachers should be willing to take it in to help improve their learning. So I'm going to actually show you guys two activities that you can use to develop culture in your classroom. So not only to celebrate it, but to highlight it amongst your students. Are you guys ready? Let's check it out.
So we're looking at what cultural responsive teaching and the pedagogy behind it is. And so what it is, the definition of cultural responsive teaching, let me move myself real quick, sorry. And pedagogy is that cultural responsive teaching is defined as using the heritages, experiences, and perspective of different ethnic and racial groups to teach students who are members of them more effectively. And the pedagogy is a student-centered approach to teaching in which the students' unique cultural strengths are identified and they're nurtured to promote student achievement and a sense of well-being about the students' cultural place in the world. So making sure that they know that they belong where they are is good. As we move on, the main tenets or the main things that we can think about when we think of culturally responsive education is that the teachers' beliefs about ethnic, racial, and cultural diversity determine their instructional behaviors. And so how we behave as teachers is all dependent on how we see the world, our biases and everything. Culture also identifies how and what children learn both in and out of school, and as well how and what the teachers teach. We are not teaching if we're not teaching to what the kids need. Nothing's going to happen. The demographic is super imperative. So understanding the different demographics, aka the minority groups, or the children with disabilities in our classes, making sure that we understand them, make sure that we are catering what we're doing to them rather than not making sure that we're not hitting them. The fourth one would be that student achievement is more than academics, and as such, it involves more than mastering subject matter and content knowledge. If students leave smarter, that's great. But if they leave school and are not a better human being and we haven't helped them become a functioning member of society, we haven't done our actual job yet. Using multiple cultural diverse teaching methods and materials to achieve common learning outcomes. So kids learn different in so many different reasons, and in many ways, cultural and ethnic socialization accounts for much of these differences, but their individual selves are super duper important as well. So looking at the cultural sense of pedagogy, the ethic of care. So that's foundation of teaching practices. Teaching is characterized by respectful, positive, and warm interactions with students. The cultural values. And so valuing students' cultural identity, including showing respect for their home language and knowledge, their family, their values, beliefs. It's just allowing ourselves to see their culture and make it not a part of our own, but a bigger understanding that we have. Literacy. Literacy is taught from the foundation of a spoken language, point blank period. Literacy is it. Explicit teaching practices. So expectations of students, both in behavior and achievement and the direction of future learning, are clearly repeated and communicated to the students. The knowledge and skill needed by the students are explained and modeled in a variety of different ways, and feedback is regularly offered. All students need to be held to the exact same high standard. We don't get there equally, though. It's through the equity process of making sure that every child is offered the exact same education. But if we give them all an equal education, we're not doing anything for the kids that are up here or the kids that are down here. We've got to give them that little bit of equity where we kind of meet them where they are and we bring them up to that level. The last one that we can look at is their pedagogical expertise. So the teacher behaves as a learning facilitator rather than being the person that's just standing there being staunch, giving everything. It's the kids are giving their choices. They have open-ended experimental group and activities of which to learn from. And it's visual and it prompts engagement and support learning. The information skills are chunked and scaffolded and connected to the schema or their prior knowledge. And they provided time to gain mastery skills and the communication of ideas, especially abstract tasks, occur orally when students are engaged physically with the learning tasks. So not everything has to be written down and not everything has to come from us. It should come from them. Behavior support. So the students contribute to the setting of the classroom expectations. Sitting down first day of school and making expectations and rules with your children is being culturally responsive. That is being culturally responsive because it's letting them take in what they know and coming to it together. That way, whenever something does happen, they can call themselves out. It's not being like, oh, Mr. Pineda set this rule. It's, oh, we set this rule together and we learned it together. And the last one we can look at is the structural support, the culturally effective teaching practices. We're nothing without the higher ups, to be honest. We don't get what we need if we don't have the principals backing, and if we don't have, the principal doesn't get anything if they doesn't have the superintendent backing. And so the pursuit of students' academic and social outcomes can be provided by an accessible process in which students in the community can be included in the school's decision-making. So that is why it's so important to make sure that what we are doing is perfect for the kids.
The next topic that we're going to be discussing are the central themes of culturally responsive teaching. These are that the beliefs and behaviors of students and teachers are interactive. Culture influences how and what students learn, as well as how and what teachers teach. The student and community demographics, as well as school achievement being more than just academic mastery. For the student-teacher interactions, we want to build personal relationships with students to give them a sense of belonging in the environment, and this in turn gives them a safe place to ask questions, to foster their own learning environment, and to find challenges for themselves in their learning. Another thing you want to do is build culture into their academics and don't separate them. What they're doing at home doesn't have to be isolated from what they're doing with you at school. It can all be together and cohesive. You want to make sure you're using what they know to help them learn and engage them in their own learning. And the last thing you want to do is make content relevant to the students using context from within the community. So if you're having trouble with math for the kids, use data that's from the area, make it relevant to them. Use local things to make a connection for them.
What are the environmental elements of a culturally responsive classroom? So the elements of a culturally responsive classroom are that it should be safe, inclusive, caring, collaborative. It should communicate respect and for diversity and support students' academic and social goals. You should be able to use the environment to communicate a respect for diversity and the community. You can do this by having a map of the world with highlighted countries of each student's country of ancestry. You can create a welcome banner for the first day of class in all the students' native languages. You should have posters that show multicultural people, but not ones that are stereotypical. You can arrange their desks in clusters and also have a class kindness box that students can drop kindness notes anonymously. You should also be able to develop a caring, inclusive classroom environment. So this looks like greeting students at the door with a smile and a welcoming comment. And you can actually print out this kind of poster, laminate it and put it outside your door. And then after maybe a month or two, after students are used to that, the greeting of each other, for K-2 classes, what I like to do is make that a class job so the students build relationships with each other. You should also be listening to stories about students' lives outside of school and sharing your own to develop those relationships with your kids. And then finally, let students make decisions about classroom activities. So to keep your classroom more culturally responsive, make sure that you align what you're doing in the classroom to background knowledge of the students' home countries and help students have choice in the classroom, okay? So.
Hello, my name is Jada Weathers and I teach English 1.
Hi, my name is Sharmeen Khan. I teach 9th grade to 12th grade AP Biology and Health. Today we're talking about what's the value of culturally responsive teaching, and here's Jada who's going to take it away.
you. So we're going to be focused on the relationship between a teacher's cultural competence and student achievement. So the value that comes with culturally responsive teaching allows students to become more ethnically, culturally, racially, linguistically, and socially diverse. And as a result, it will have students having increased attention spans, higher subject matter grades, test scores, more quality participation, more engagement and comprehension, more detailed, coherent writing, greater mastery of high order thinking and analytical skills, as well as feelings of empowerment and efficacy. And where you'll see this being played out in the classroom is where students are so engaged with the lessons and participation that eventually they can actually start teacher leading or student-led teaching and helping their peers. Now here's Charmaine with the rest.
So it can also be transformative and eliminate disparities for many kids of achievement for ethnically and culturally diverse students. We see that when we learned about the 6 different types of hope in class. As a teacher, you want to engage in critical hope and not false hope, because that allows students to get the tools for success so they can use the knowledge that you teach them in the classroom outside of the classroom as well, which kind of leads over into the next slide. This allows for cultivating diverse lifelong learners. Culturally responsive teaching allows for both teachers and students to learn from each other and with each other. As a culturally responsive teacher, if you are engaging in those types of critical hope, you're actually involving yourself in the community of students, which allows them to be more engaged as well and take that knowledge outside of the classroom and change their communities for